C-SPAN wanted to update a documentary that they had done on presidents and wanted to include President Obama. So Brian Lamb had a brief interview standing up in the Oval Office with President Obama, very innocuous, nothing particularly controversial said. And among the discussion topics were the decoration of the Oval Office, which Brian Lamb pointed out, President Obama, you haven't redecorated as some presidents do. And the president implied in his answer that he had not redecorated in the spirit of austerity because the economy was not doing well and it might be unseemly to do so. After that interview, which was supposed to air in the documentary in a couple of weeks, was supposed to be included, C-SPAN gets a call from somebody at the White House who says, I just want to let you know that in a couple of days, the Washington Post is going to break a story that we're doing a multi-million-dollar renovation of the Oval Office. Clearly that had been in the works prior to the interview, so C-SPAN was thinking at this point, we now have an interview that's going to be proven untrue, a piece of the interview that we either have to explain or take out of the documentary, but what's more important is, once this news breaks in the Washington Post, we need to broadcast or publish the interview, the relevant part of the interview. So when they told the White House this, the White House was very upset. And the White House is used to, in my view, kind of calling the shots with executives of news outlets if they're unhappy about something, if they do want something to air, if they don't want something to air. But C-SPAN wasn't giving them their way. The White House said they really didn't want that interview to air, and that it should air with the documentary at a later point, as had been agreed. And C-SPAN felt it had been put in a difficult position, being given an interview which there was information that would be proven to be outdated or not true, and that they felt as a news organization they really couldn't ethically sit on this interview when it became noteworthy. Because the White House so objected, they took the issue to their board of directors. And the board of directors at C-SPAN rightfully decided we need to publish that interview if it becomes news. So, lo and behold, a couple of days later, the story comes out with the Washington Post. Apparently the White House had worked with the Post on this because sometimes they leak stories to news outlets that they want so that it's covered in the way that they want or with the timing, with the sense that they want. And C-SPAN published that chunk of the interview where the president had implied he was not redecorating for austerity reasons. Now, we didn't know about that. Probably you in the audience weren't aware of the clip, I wasn't aware of the clip, but the White House was out of its mind that C-SPAN had defied this request. So what they did next was a series of these pushback efforts. They contacted different people at C-SPAN. White House officials let them know how unhappy they were, and they held a grudge, boy, because now this is all after the fact. You can't really take it back. But a couple of nights later, the president was doing a live address to the nation about the withdrawal of troops from Iraq. And a C-SPAN producer involved in this gets a phone call, someone from the White House, calling in the middle of the president's live speech. That's interesting, doesn't he have more important things to do? And it was sort of an in-your-face complaint, and a veiled, I would call it, threat of loss of access as punishment for what they had done in defying the wishes of the White House. And in the end, the White House said something like in an email like, lesson learned. And they made an interesting note. They said, no other news organization would have done what you did. And I think they're right.